You ready? Oh. Hi, Wendy Rodrigue here. I am visiting with you in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, in New England at MoNA, the Museum of New Art, where they are currently hosting a magnificent exhibition, George Rodrigue Painting for Myself, on view through January 2nd, 2024. This year, 2023, marks the 10th anniversary of George's death, and we have a number of exhibitions going on. Please check our website and see what's happening, legacyarttour.org. Today I want to spotlight for you this very unusual piece bridging various aspects of George's career. It is fascinating on multiple levels. Many of you, I know if you're watching this, are already familiar with George's painting, the Aioli Dinner, on which this is based. That painting is hanging currently at the Ogden Museum of Southern Art, and we recently did a video on that, so if you want more information or to see and compare the two, please look within these video narratives and check that one out as well, filmed a few months ago there at the museum. This piece is different. This is a piece that George kept within his private collection. He actually kept the other one in his private collection also, but this is something else. What happened was, when George went to make prints of the Aioli Dinner, his very first painting with people, and perhaps his most famous, certainly of his Cajun paintings, when he did so, he found that the ground of the painting all went black in the printmaking process. And you'll be able to see that more if you look at the video or the actual painting at the Ogden Museum. It is a very green painting. It is highly influenced by the frame that is on it. And it also is very early, before George had a real grasp of how he wanted to treat large areas of ground, such as he designed within this piece. So what happened is the painting went black in the printing, and he was never pleased with the lithographs of this piece, and of course everybody wanted prints of it. In 1992, George had just begun the Blue Dog series, and he started re-looking at the Aioli Dinner. He had started making fabulous silkscreen prints of the Blue Dog series, his first few, and he thought, I am going to readdress the Aioli Dinner in a way that will make an effective print, I hope. So what he did is he had a direct image transfer made of the painting, identical size. That means, actually this is a little bit smaller, but pretty much the same size. And that means he had a photograph taken, professionally of course, of the original painting, and then he glued it down to masonite. Was actually, process was actually done by Professional Color in New Orleans by a man named Lou Dyer, glued down to masonite, and then they took canvas and pressed it over the top with heat. So if you get up really close to this piece, you can actually see little dots in it that make it look like it is on canvas, when indeed it is on wood, on masonite. And then George came back, he had it treated somehow so that he could paint on top, and he actually painted it in oil, repainted the whole painting. That's amazing, on top. The original painting took him 6 months to paint. This one didn't take quite that long, but it took a very long time. And this time when he repainted it with heavier contrasts of light and dark, so that there would be more of these nuances going on that would help to make a more effective print. By that time, he had just a better grasp of printmaking, and he knew how to do that. So this piece was specifically made so that he could make this print. And then what he did is he had it photographed again and made beautiful reproductions of his Aioli Dinner, which is what he sold. But he's got this. He's got basically an extra Aioli Dinner. And of course, all of this cool ground in the way that he shaped it. You know, it is really neat. I actually measured this whole thing out, and do you know this corner right here of this chair is actually dead center in the middle of the canvas. So interesting, because this is George's grandfather, Jean Courage. This is George's uncle, Emile Courage. And with all this extra space going on and the fact that he has an extra painting, George decided to add the blue dog, which was a new element in his work when he did this piece in 1992. And he renamed this mixed media, Eat, Drink, and Forget the Blues. Now I go into great detail on the history of the actual dinner scene in that video filmed recently at the Aioli Museum, but briefly here, in case this is the only one you see, the women standing in the back row did the cooking, and the young men standing around the table served, and the men ate. This was a gourmet dinner club called the Aioli Dinner, and they met every month from 1890 to 1920 on the lawn of a different large home in and around New Iberia, Louisiana. The home pictured here is the Darby House, and George did base this on a number of photographs, some that are very close to this actual scene. They are all portraits, but none of those are actually set on the lawn of the Darby House. Although George knew that they met sometimes on the lawn of the Darby House. He had been told that. So the reason he set his scene there was because when he did the original painting, which was back in 1971, as I mentioned, his first painting with people, he actually went to the Darby House and went to the grounds there and sketched and drew and came up with this incredible, strong, diagonal design and shape. It's how he developed his people, right? They're not in shadow, they glow from the inside out, with the Cajun culture, dressed all in white, with their heads not touching the sky, almost. From this point forward, George said he never painted the same way again. And just because we're here and we have this opportunity, Douglas, let's just pan over here real quickly, please. This would be an example of what George was painting just prior to having painted the Aioli Dinner. This is from 1970, a landscape also from his personal collection. And this would have been in those very first art shows that he had. For example, at the Pink Palace, there on the grounds of what is now the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, and the Hilliard Museum, also at the Old State Capitol in Baton Rouge. This would have been a part of that early exhibition when the Baton Rouge Advocate described his work as making Louisiana a dreary, monotonous place. And there's a whole story about how George, overcame that. Anyway, very pivotal piece, very happy to have it on view here. And by the way, this exhibition travels next year to the Bayou Teche Museum, and you'll all be able to see this piece, anyone from South Louisiana or anyone visiting, throughout most of 2024, including March 13th, which will be a gala celebration in honor of George's 80th birthday. Please join me. Thank you.